What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Nets, Heat, Split out! We just got done watching a dogfight of a basketball game between the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. A game in which the Brooklyn Nets won 102-101. A game also Kevin Durant left with an injury. The reason that I'm barking, though, is it is an NFL Sunday. And a lot of you out there, your team either made the playoffs today and you're really happy, or you're like me and you're a Cleveland Browns fan and you never had a chance to make the playoffs in the first place. And, you know, we just bark at the screen like a bunch of idiots because our team sucks and that's all we have going for us. But this video today is brought to you by FanDuel, not because they're sponsoring me, but just because they're taking a lot of my money and I need a second job in order to pay off my debts. We're going to talk about this game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Miami Heat. Kevin Durant left with an injury tonight, and that was it kind of looked scary. He went straight back to the locker room. Jimmy Butler took a shot, landed right on Kevin Durant's knee. We really hope that Kevin Durant's all right. Obviously, he's playing unbelievable, potentially one of the best years of his entire career. And, you know, he walked off on his own power, played one more play, realized he couldn't go. We'll see. We'll wait for the news. We'll probably get that tomorrow at some point. So that's a really important piece for this game. But an absolutely unbelievable basketball game. And the reason being, these are two of the best clutch teams in the NBA. Two teams in the Eastern Conference that have been, in the playoffs for the last couple years. And two teams that could be a threat in the playoffs. We'll see if Miami can get it together. But really want to look at this Brooklyn Nets team and the depth they have, because it's so impressive that they were able to lose Kevin Durant tonight and still pull out a victory. And we're going to break that down. First, before we get into that, please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. We are almost to 800 subscribers. We're on the road to 1,000. If you would, please help a brother out. Hit that little button. Would be tremendously helpful. But let's talk about why this Brooklyn Nets team is so good. To me, the important thing is their depth and their clutch time play. They are now number one in the league in clutch wins, meaning that when the game is close in the final few minutes, the Nets win almost all the time. They win over 80% of the time. And why is that important? And why is that the case? Well, it's the case because they have two of the best players in the NBA in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Two superstars that can score at a high level, can score from anywhere, and are pretty much unstoppable when it comes to that time of the game. But they also have very quality players around them. And this is not the same Brooklyn Nets team that we've watched the last couple years. The Brooklyn Nets were a team that were coached by Steve Nash, a team that didn't have a lot of depth, didn't have a lot of talent. And even to start this season, a lot of people were freaking out about the Brooklyn Nets because they started really cold. I believe they were, 2-6, 2-7, something like that. Fired Steve Nash. And obviously, I think Jacques Vaughn has made significant improvements to this team. But I also think you got to put real credit in the fact that TJ Warren has come back and is playing at a high level. Ben Simmons has played excellent off the bench. And, he was in the starting lineup tonight, but he's making real contributions where he can. His scoring is still really low, but he's assisting the ball. He's their leading assist man. He's rebounding the basketball, and then he's defending at a high level. This Brooklyn Nets team is a team that was a bottom 10 defensive team when they had Steve Nash. They're now 8th in the NBA in defensive rating. Let me make sure that's true. 9th. They're 9th in the NBA in defensive rating. The Heat are actually 8th. So this team is one that's completely turned it around. And what I always say, that is important, is that I believe that defense and effort, or coaching and effort, equal defense. Scheme is important. Having the players that can defend are important. But when you have a guy that comes in and pushes their team hard, coaches their team hard, and they play with a lot of effort, then I think that equates to a quality defensive team. And I think that's what we're seeing in the improvement of the Brooklyn Nets this year. Now, what makes Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving so special? Now, when you're talking about Kyrie Irving specifically, I think the hardest part about guarding him, defending Kyrie Irving, is the fact that you literally have no idea what he's going to do, because he can do anything. He can spin to either side. He's a great shooter, fading left, fading right. He's a great pull-up three-point shooter. He can shoot the three ball. He can take it to the basket and is one of the best under the basket finishers we've ever seen in the NBA. So quite literally, you have no idea what this guy's going to do with the basketball. And him and Kevin Durant have been more willing passers. Kevin Durant, to me, has become a very, very good playmaker. And I think that's an underrated part of his game. But what these two do so great is pull-up shooting. When you're talking about, what do I mean by pull-up shooting? That means you're coming off the dribble, you pull up for a shot. From the three-point line, from the two-point line. And why is this so important? Because in the NBA, you're not always going to get wide open catch and shoot shots. Those are your easiest shots. Obviously, your catch and shoot, your dunks, your lobs, layups, anything like that. But a wide open catch and shoot three-pointer is going to be your easiest jump shot in the NBA. But having a guy that can come down the court and you aren't able to get anything offensively and they can still get a tough bucket is of the utmost importance. And let me pull up the statistics real quick because this was staggering to me. Kevin Durant is second in the NBA in pull-up jump shooting points per game. Luka Doncic averages 12.4. Kevin Durant averages 12.3. So right there. The difference, though, Kevin Durant shoots 55% on pull-up jump shots. I don't think you understand how ridiculous that is. There are other NBA players that are barely shooting 40% from the field. Kevin Durant, on some of the most difficult shots, is shooting 55%. That is showing his elite efficiency, and honestly, that's probably Kevin Durant's greatest strength is his efficiency, able to play within the offense, and pull-up jump shooting is unbelievable and it's unparalleled. So he shoots 15% higher than Luka Doncic, who, and then Kyrie Irving is seventh in the league, averaging 10.2 points per a game with pull-up shots, and shoots at 48% clip. That is better than DeMar DeRozan. That is better than Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, way better. Trae Young is shooting 35% on pull-up jump shot. These are hard shots that they're able to make those difficult shots turn into quality looks. And I think that that's really been one of the keys to this Brooklyn Nets offense is that you have two guys that are so elite. And today, Royce ONeal hit the game-winning shot. And the difference, I think, with this Brooklyn Nets team is the fact that they have shooters everywhere and they have guys that know their role. Royce ONeal is a great role player, a guy who's going to defend at a high level, going to be scrappy, fight for offensive boards like he did on his game-winning shot tonight. And he's going to stand in the corner and shoot three-pointers. And that's all you can ask of a guy sometimes. Nic Claxton has really taken a step forward. He went toe-to-toe with Bam Adebayo tonight. Actually, maybe played a little better. Nic Claxton had 13 points, 11 rebounds. Bam Adebayo had 10 points and 8 rebounds. So Nic Claxton went up with one of the best centers in the NBA, Bam Adebayo, and played just as well as he did, if not a little better. So you're talking about a team that has Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, has role players and Royce ONeal, Claxton, Ben Simmons playing his role, which honestly, Ben Simmons, yes, was an all-defense kind of guy, defensive player of the year level defender, a guy who made all-star games. And yes, he's taking a step back in his scoring, but this Nets team is going to be so great if he's able to play that role at a high level. And then you have guys off the bench, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, forgive me again on his name, Watanabe, and then TJ Warren's playing at a high level. So you're talking about, and you're not even counting Patty Mills, Cam Thomas. They have guys everywhere. This Brooklyn Nets team has real depth for the first time in this Kevin Durant era. Yes, they almost made the third round of the playoffs when Kevin Durant went nuclear against the Milwaukee Bucks 2 years ago. But that team was really, really flawed when you're talking about how top-heavy it was. When James Harden or Kyrie Irving went out with an injury, it was like, Kevin Durant, can you have the greatest game of all time and take us to the playoffs? And that was really their only hope, which he almost did. It was unbelievable. I want to touch briefly on this Miami Heat team. We're about halfway through the season. They're 21-20, so they're right at 500. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Now they're only 2 games out of the 6th seed. But right now, if the season ended today, they'd be in that play-in tournament, which is not what any of us expected with the Miami Heat coming into the season. And they're one of those teams that honestly, they have guys that are just always out. Jimmy Butler has missed. He's played 26 games. I just said they've played 41, so he's missed 15 games. Tyler Herro's missed 10. Kyle Lowry's missed 6. Bam Adebayo's missed 5. Victor Oladipo's missed most of the season. Gabe Vincent's missed a lot of games. Duncan Robinson. You're talking about having a lot of guys that have missed a lot of basketball. And it's really hard when you're trying to get continuity, you're trying to compete with all these talented teams in the NBA. And the problem is the NBA is getting better and better. And it's something that we'll talk about in a video, but in a video coming up. But the scoring in the NBA is going up so much, but the talent level is crazy. All these teams are talented. You can't just take a night off against Oklahoma City like maybe you could in the past. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could go crazy. They just scored 150 points on the Boston Celtics. The Orlando Magic have Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. They have a bunch of young guys that can play at a high level, and you're talking about on a night-to-night basis, you need to bring it. And when you have guys sitting out with injuries, you have nights where your entire starting lineup is out. It's really, really hard to compete in the Eastern Conference when you got teams like let me pull up the rest of the standings. We got teams like Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, obviously, the Cavs, Sixers. The Pacers are playing at a high level. The Knicks have won a bunch of games and have won 4 games in a row. Chicago's coming. Atlanta has good players. They're struggling. Washington has good players. Toronto has good players. It is really difficult in the Eastern Conference when you have so many guys sitting out. So if the Heat want to get back on track, they got to have a little better health. They got to have some guys stay on the court. And if the Heat can get in the playoffs, they're scary because when it comes to down the stretch, they play very, very elite. And there's no team I hate rooting against more than the Miami Heat because I feel like Tyler Herro and Jimmy Butler just don't miss when it matters most. That's all we got for you as far as this game. It was pretty electric. Hope Kevin Durant's all right because that's always scary when you see a guy holding their knee. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep grinding, keep grinding out these videos, even though it's NFL season. But take a second to subscribe, so we'll go.